New carpet? You should sit in the jury chairs.
I would do.
One
Put
nation
the hardwood
under
in.
God.
Yes. Our Firemen's Association does the same
All right. Call to order Vermillion County Council meeting, October 3rd. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right. Roll call, Mr. Reynolds. Mr. Reynolds.
Present.
Mr. Weir.
Here.
Mr. Somerville.
Here.
Mr. Bush.
Here.
Mrs. James, I'm here. Mr. Dreer. And Mr. Braun.
Here.
All right, thanks, gentlemen. All right, first item on our agenda is approval of minutes. We have minutes from budget hearings on September 14th, budget hearings on September 15th, and our regular meeting on September 15th. Are there any corrections, additions, or questions regarding those three sets of minutes?
Make a motion that we approve all three meetings on January 14th at 9 a.m., September 15th at 9 a.m., and also September 15th at 6:30 p.m.
So the September 14th, 15th, and the 15th.
Yeah.
I'll second.
I have a motion from Mr. Weir and a second from Mr. Brown to approve the minutes from September 14th, September 15th in the morning, and then September 15th in the evening. All those in favor, please signify by stating aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, state no. Okay. Minutes are approved. Next on our agenda is notice of public hearing. We are conducting a public hearing today for any public comment on an amendment to a certified statement of assessed value for Vermillion County for the 2023 tax year. The proposed amendment would reduce the certified net assessed value by approximately $15 million due to a software error that inadvertently resulted in an overstatement of the personal property values for the Dana taxing district. Everyone was invited to attend this evening, and is there any public comment or questions regarding this public hearing? With no questions or statements, that will conclude our public hearing for the notice. We do have one transfer tonight. It is reporting only. It's for the court. They are transferring $1,500 for the exam by court-appointed physicians. Any questions on that one? Yeah, it does go along with our next item is the additional appropriation. Circuit Court is asking for $25,000 to put into their exam by court-appointed physician. The court is needing to conduct several more evaluations for the year. They have a couple pending right now to be paid for, and they expect to have a few more throughout the year. Whatever doesn't get spent will go back to the general fund at the end of the year.
Motion?
It's a have-to thing.
Yeah, if they're asked
Yeah.
to have the
So
exam,
there's
then
a
they
have
have to.
All right, I'll make a motion.
Yeah, we need a motion.
I need a second?
I'll second.
All right. I have a motion from Mr. Brown, a second from Mr. Reynolds. Is there any further discussion? No discussion. All those in favor, please signify by stating aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, state no. Appropriations approved. Okay. Takes care of most of everything else. Well, we have a few budget items to kind of go over. Scott sent us an email out earlier today. Tax rate. I don't know, did everybody get a chance to see that? And Caitlin's here for CASA. You want to go ahead and while she's getting that email printed for us? We had a couple questions, I think, with budget. Unfortunately, I think you were sick.
Yeah.
I hope you're feeling better now.
Yeah, I know.
If you'll come up here, it'll be easier as Fred's here with the air back there.
Questions or?
What were those, can I ask them?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
You showed me what you're expecting to receive in grants next year.
Yes, so our estimated 2023 matching and capacity grants is $6,725 for the matching and $2,883 for the capacity.
Could you read that first number again for me?
Yes, $6,725.
Okay, and then 2,883?
Yes,
Those are the matching?
matching and capacity grant.
Do you have any grants you're expecting to receive for the last half?
No, I believe we received everything that we're going to. That the last one we received was a third round grant, which is never guaranteed, but if the state has leftover funds, they distribute that, and that was $2,763 and 82 cents. $2,763.
And you don't know that.
Right, that did come this year, but we are not expecting anything anymore.
Oh, behind the judge. Circuit court. Me and the book are one.
It's not as grim as it looks, but
Last page.
because there was a $25,000 contribution from the county that came in after June 30th. So from county general to CASA. I had not incorporated all of that into some of these calculations, but fundamentally, you still have, we're going to have to put either more money into CASA or reduce the amount of money we're spending for CASA.
Yeah, which that I'm kind of confused about, because my funds are supposed to roll over every year. I think we've got different numbers across the board. I'm not.
CASA did roll over, it stays
It
in
does,
the fund.
yeah, we're just spending more than
Yeah.
we're bringing in. Or the contribution's not matched up to
Right.
the budget
So-
allocated. So it's in the negative, or will be.
At the end of this year? Or 23?
I don't know how much your budget's left for this year, but it's probably gonna go negative, yeah. And it'll go negative next year, because we've got a budget of 58,000 with revenues next year of 34,000.
Right.
Now, again, it's not the end of the world. We can take money from someplace else and put it there, but
Do we split this with Park County?
Not these numbers,
Not
but
these.
yes. So Park County, I keep that separate. They've got their own budget. They pay part of the salary as well.
Okay.
And then I keep it pretty even on what's spent in which one.
Okay.
So it's not just.
So like the 6,700 and the 2,800, is that like our portion of that then?
Yes, so that is what is being offered for Vermillion. For
Okay.
Park, it's $5,044 and $2,162.
Okay.
So it's a little less.
So they are separate. I didn't know if we
Yeah.
had to split that.
Yeah, no, that's, all goes here.
Okay.
So I guess with the budget, so I always have, for the last few years, I've asked for the county to do the 25,000,
Mhm.
which would be like the matching part, for my salary, to make up for that. And so that would just come from the county, and then the 33,420, that was from the matching capacity grants, and then any rollover, that I've calculated and keeping track of all that, like I'm showing more rollover than what it's saying.
So the 33,420 includes what you, like rolling over last year's balance of like what would be left?
And just previous, yeah.
I think what may have happened, and we'll
Okay.
see, is that Caitlin?
Yes.
Caitlin is looking at the budget and saying, I didn't spend that money at the end of the year.
So you-
But the budget was greater than the amount of money in the fund.
But so with that budget, I only budget on what I have, what I'm informed that I
Something, I
have.
don't know, something's off.
Right, and that's
Trying to-
what we met before, and I don't know. I
Okay.
mean, I have annual financial statements that we've got to do every year for the state that
Mhm.
breaks it down, and, I mean, it shows all that rollover.
Do you have a list then of like, what you think, like, you know, like office supplies or printing, things like that, like rent, like, do you have that amount of expenses that needs to be covered?
For next year?
Mhm.
I do, I don't have that
Okay.
with me, all that's still at the office, so,
Okay.
but yes, I haven't, so I do that when I start on my grant application for next year, which is coming up, so then that's when I will break it all down.
Okay.
So,
I was just gonna say, we wanna make sure that's the expenses we make sure we get covered.
Right.
Once we figure out like what the fund balances were and then the contributions and all that.
Right.
So that 33,420 isn't like I have to have that exact amount to pay like the lighting bill and the paper.
Correct. That's all, I mean, the phone bill, and my marketing, training, and recruiting staff member is paid out of that as well.
Okay.
So she was at 13,000 for the year. So yeah, that's what, I mean,
Okay.
it's included in that, but I do, estimate on other things, volunteers training, or volunteer recruitment, training, advertising.
Is that a number you could get for us then, like our share of that?
Yes.
Those expenses?
And I also
Mhm.
suggested that she separate out the expenses to her other person that she pays.
yeah.
Okay.
So we're gonna do that. You only have 2 line items at the moment, but I think we'll need at least 3.
And that'll work, because that's typically how our other ones are. We have like personnel, and then your next section would be like, your rent, utilities, things like that.
Yes.
So that way, it just helps us see to make sure we're getting it covered.
Right, yeah, that's how, I know it was like that, but then it was kind of easier just to, out of the one fund, because if you have those specific names, like we do volunteer recruitment and then
Mhm.
volunteer or not recruitment, retention or advertising, and if, you have all those separated, it kind of gets, okay, well, which one would this fall under? But it does kind of make it difficult with Dawn's salary getting paid out of that as well. So, I mean, I'm open to separating it, absolutely. And what did you said, get the numbers?
Yeah, like all of your expenses that you project to have.
Okay.
Rent, internet, phone,
Yeah,
paper.
Yes.
because that'll give us a better idea of what number we need to budget in there to make sure we can get everything covered.
Okay. Yes, I
Um,
can give that to you.
And then the 25,000, like, this is kind of set up similar to the public defender now that we have the Tri-County. Thank you.
This will help. It'll show you what we're seated in and what's been spent out.
Okay, so we're almost at dessert. It's almost equal.
Cash ledger, but that's right. Okay.
Thank you.
We have 25,000 listed in the Commissioner's Court for that match, like for the salary part. And then, so that gets rolled into the CASA fund. In the same way with public defenders, we have an X amount of dollars in the Commissioner's Court budget sheet, and then that gets rolled into the Tri-County. So, if you see 25,000 twice in your books, the fund actually, in the location is actually different.
It gets spent twice.
Same way with, like solid waste has it in the Commissioner's Court, but then it gets rolled over to solid waste. Some of the fair stuff is the same way, it's listed, but then it gets rolled over.
So is this a tri-county?
No, just
two,
yeah,
us and
just
Park.
2, Park and Vermillion. And I think it's been like that since 2020.
So we do have the 25,000 in there. It's just
So
the other
I-
expenses that we just need to work
Okay,
at.
because I was worried about my salary part.
No.
I'm like, I love my job, and,
It's,
um,
I didn't mean to panic.
yeah, no, I was panicked before I came in. You're fine.
So we split 50/50 then on salary and expenses?
So, well, Vermillion pays 5,000 more than Park. Park is 20,000.
Okay.
Or 10. Actually, Park is 10,000. The county does do 20 as a total because 10 of that goes to another employee, a higher paid staff. So I'm only getting 10 there and then 25 here. I have already completed my budget for Park. I mean, that's something I could talk to the judge with and see if make sure he's good with me asking the county for maybe a little bit more.
Do they
if he-
contribute anything to your other expenses then, or just the?
Just the
budget?
salary.
Okay.
So everything else comes from those grants, and any rollover, the third round grants. This year we did a wellness assessment grant, and that went to Park.
Okay.
And
So if you will give like us, like the breakdown of all the expenses that you have,
Okay.
and then subtract out the grant money
Okay.
that you won't, that you'll have to cover some of that, and then that'll give us an idea of how much is left over to fund.
Okay.
For some reason, I wrote down, you received a grant in 22 for 16K, 16,000.
In 2022?
Yeah. Or through year-to-date, I guess I wrote down. I don't know. No, Annie's shaking her head no.
I don't see 16,000.
Yeah,
I don't know where I got that, but I wrote it down.
Not this year.
There were a lot of numbers.
Yeah, I know. It's a lot.
Oh my God, no, Scott called me today and asked me to get into it.
Yeah, because there's several of these CASA stop grant victims assistance. These are all things where we get some grant and some county contributions, but I don't understand and know, some grants are they once a year, are they twice a year, are they, how often, how much?
Sure.
So CASA is fairly new, and it could be that there's been a error in the previous year where a contribution that was supposed to be made from the county or something didn't get transferred, I don't know. But, we're budgeting for more than I can tell you we're budgeting for more than the revenues are gonna be. So we're either gonna need to increase revenues or reduce the budget,
So I also wrote down, note there, we were serving 78 individuals, 78.
Yes, so actually, yeah, go ahead, sorry.
That's all right. So of that 78, what's the percentage for Vermillion County?
So I actually did an updated number today. So in Vermillion right now, we have served all year 73 children. And then we've closed 33 children, and right now we are serving 40. And then in Park, we're serving 48 to this date, and then all year we have served 68 in Park. I have the breakdown. It's a lot. It's, you separate them, then you combine them, but I mean, we've served.
So it's pretty even.
Right, yeah.
50-50, so to
Yeah.
speak.
Yeah, right now.
It sounds like it would be nice if they kind of cover 50% of the cost.
Yeah, so I do make sure like we're spending just as much, and I am more willing to bring that information, that document, so you guys can see all that, and I can bring, this is actually the grant for this year that was done last year. I don't know if this is something you guys would want. There's a lot of breakdown on what is asked, the questions, and how I do it. I don't know if you guys want to make copies, or I can email it.
If you just make a copy, keep, thank you.
But yes, I do keep it. I know, like, internet, we've done a couple out of Vermillion, but then I've done a couple out of Park, so we try and keep that even. As far as salary, that's the only difference is, because when we did it Vermillion, we were serving more in Vermillion. But now, unfortunately, DCS really isn't opening cases. We even try to get it, or we not try, we are appointed to informal adjustments that we're not normally appointed to. And they're still not really opening those in Vermillion. We're seeing that pendulum swing over in Park right now, and I just have no doubt in a matter of time it's going to be over here, and our numbers are going to skyrocket. We have 10 volunteers active, and then we have 3 that are on leave. Those are ones that are just taking a break, and then when they're ready, they can come back. And then we have 4 staff members. Only one, myself, and then 1 staff member gets paid through Vermillion, the other 2 get paid through Park. So that's kind of that breakdown. And then when I complete this year, the grant budget or the grant application for next year, I can email that to you guys as well if that helps that.
If you'll send it to Brenda and
Brenda?
Andy, and
Okay.
they can print it off for us.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes. And then I did bring some things, like these are items that we do use the budget on for advertising. kind of thing where, you know, if somebody volunteers, they don't automatically see the CASA logo and like, I want to do that, they have to see it reoccurring. So these are some things that we do. I don't know, got some stress balls and some cups, and if you just can take the bag, it's fine. Cups and just different things with our logo on it that we pass out. We do parades and all that sort of things, events. One of our biggest events is the back to school event. And those numbers are completely out of my head right now. I think we did as
Who's looking at the door?
Passing the phone.
Yeah.
When was this program started here? Did you say 2020?
In 2019, at the end of 2018 and then 2019, Eliza Porter actually started it. And then she had left, she was moving, and the Park County position came open as well, and they merged them. So I've been, so since 2020 is when the counties have merged and we've been one program.
So has the program grown over those years?
It has. We do not have a waiting list right now, so that's been a huge plus.
Yeah, I saw that note from when you were here before.
Yeah, and it has, you know, this year we were able to get an office in. That's been so beneficial just for when children are removed, they have a place to go. Our volunteers, I mean, we only have 10. They come and go. Usually a volunteer will just take one case, and then once that case is completed, then they'll step away. So that's completely normal. Sometimes they keep wanting cases, and so we've definitely had, I think 17 was the most we've had active at one point. With the numbers going down, it's been tricky to, you know, give them a case if there's no case to give.
So there wasn't a COVID impact, if anything, it actually went down, but there may have been other factors.
Yes. So and that's typically normal for that to happen. But yes, it has grown. I think we brought more awareness to that. You know, we are here. We are in this county.
Struggling there.
And I think we have more room to grow still. You know, we're still.
Where's your office at?
It's off Main Street. It was the old Binders Chiropractor.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's in Vermillion. That was one thing. You know, the office we had previously was in the Park County Courthouse. It was a cubbyhole, very difficult to get to, very difficult for volunteers to get to. And now we have this building where we have, you know, if we're there, which someone tries to be there every day but Mondays because that's court day, to where volunteers can have a space. They can come in on their own, do research, write their reports, ask questions. We also have been taking donations, so clothes, anything, hygiene products, mainly clothes. We have a lot of clothes donations, which is good because a lot of kids, when they are removed, they aren't able to take any of their clothes, so we are able to store those. We have the storage for it. Our backpack event, we have extra backpacks. Like I said, we actually have a shower there, so kids that have been removed have actually needed a shower and been able to utilize it. So it just really helps collaborate with DCS, the providers, other agencies as a meeting place. We're able to do meetings, supervise visits. Well, we're not supervising the visits, but an agency is. So it's really opened the doors for a lot of opportunities and room to grow.
Does anyone else have any other questions for Caitlin?
Just an observation, that the services you provide, I'm looking at this number, it's not a real big number for the services you provide.
Yeah, you definitely have to have passion for it. So,
Yeah.
the success outweighs the bad days, I guess. And like I said, right now they're not opening cases, and it's scary.
It's still printing, William. I'll get your lunch in
It
a
is.
minute.
Why is that, you know?
I think some of it's budgeting, honestly, on their end, or they will open informal adjustments and keep the kids in the home, which sometimes is needed, but we, you know, every month Child Protective Team meets, and I'm part of that team. We go through the hotline reports, anything that's screened out or screened in, and then we'll get updates on ones we have concerns with, and I was constantly hearing, these IAs that mom's still using and mom's still the only caregiver, oh, there was domestic violence. It's like these children don't have a voice because we're not appointed to it. So both the judges were very open and agreed, you know, that would be really good, and it's been beneficial. Unfortunately, you know, we've had a lot of IAs that we've ended up removing or become in-home chins, and it just makes the process longer at the end of the day. It makes, you know, DCS involvement time longer than what it might have been. And sometimes we're appointed to you know, juvenile cases, probation, custody cases, or guardianships. Judge Swain does that more than what Judge West does, but occasionally we'll have that crossover, or if she feels like it's needed, she will appoint me to that. So, yeah.
Thank you for all the work that you do.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you guys, and I will get that information to you.
Thank you.
soon.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Thanks for coming tonight.
Thank you.
Everyone has a copy now of the email that Scott sent us with the rates and what that generates as a county levy. So, with option 1, we generate about 370,000 or so, PD maybe, additional, and it still reduces the tax rate. Option 2 is the max levy, and the interest rates, or your interest rate, that goes up too. Not us, but the county tax rate would go up by 0.5249%. And even by increasing it, it generates 130,000 extra, which, I mean, I think if we look through some of the accounts to find some areas to kind of whittle some of that out. I know we've been trying to avoid increasing the tax rate if at all possible. We've lowered it the last 2 years. It's just going to take some fine tuning on some of the, and these are the general fund accounts that these numbers affect.
General, health,
Yeah.
Cume Bridge, Cume, CCD, and the assessment.
Those are all the.
Those are what compose, that's what we levy taxes, property tax.
With the option 1, it leaves us a little short, or not?
Both of them leave us short.
We're already short.
So it's a question of how short, you know, the last couple of years, the county had tried to reduce the rate, and we've successfully done that. We went from a rate of 102, think of it as a percent, 1.02% to 1% to 99%. So I just tried to say, okay, trying to keep something that goes down about the same as last year. That would be a levy of $9,047,000, or if the maximum levy, the most you can get taxpayers to pay is 9,178,617. That's, yeah, I may be off by $10 there, but, no, I'm serious, it's hard to calculate, it really is, but, so, now, we will not collect all that.
Right.
Because of the tax caps. So I have factored, that tax cap is actually factored in on here, the tax caps are factored in on here. The tax cap went up by 13% this year, the growth quotient was 5%, so our levy can go up. Our levy can actually go up by more than 5% because we are under the max, so we can go up by like 5.5 or 6, but we just, you know, there's this constant stress that you have of good programs, defunding, versus the amount of funding that you have available to pay for those things. We do have cash balances that have sustained us and will continue to do so. You know, it's not going to be a problem next year. We can fund this budget based on our operating balances
And
for the
we've,
most part.
in the past,
But
actually advertised budgets that were more than our levy. We don't spend every single
You don't
penny in a
spend every
budget.
penny.
So that's what saves us. But it's still, if there's numbers that we can look at to reduce, then, you know.
But I just wanted to, because we need to finalize for your adoption meeting, which is next week, part of that is how much you're going to spend. Part of that's also how much you're going to tax people. That's the other part of this. And so if you want to tax people max levy, we can plug those numbers in. What I've plugged in right now are the option 1, but I can change that. It's not a big deal. It's 5 numbers I have to change. Or you can go, as I said, you could literally say, let's do 9,150,000, or you know, or 8,444,217. Whatever you want to say, we can do whatever you want to do. It's up to you guys. There's 9 million options here. Anywhere between 0 and 9.
Option 1 on there, the 9877, that takes it back to about the 2019 tax rate, and then the max levy would take it back to 2021's tax rate. But there again, the assessed values have gone up, so
That's what's saving us. It's allowed us to continue to increase our levy while decreasing the rate. If it goes the other direction, the rate has to go up, or the levy has to go up. I was hoping it was real close. I thought we were going to be able to do a max levy without increasing, but it's a 0.5% increase. That's really not very much, but.
Well, it's nice to have the cash balances, and we need some cash balances, but the public as a whole, their cash balances are depleting too. So I think, you know, we gotta do the best that we can to keep it flat.
I agree.
I hate to see us raise it because, like Scott said, when assessed values go down, you have to
Right.
raise the rate.
Right.
So even though they've gone up, I hate to raise the rate. We're just going to have to find areas to
Right.
cut.
We need to go through the budget a little closer and still trim what we can, but
As much time as we
provided.
spend on it, I know it's hard to believe but yeah, we probably have to spend a little bit more time thinking about those things. And when people come in and ask for additional appropriations, I would suggest that maybe we try and find other money that's already been appropriated that we can reallocate towards that instead of doing additionals, because some of those additionals tend to add up. Yeah, that's fine. You don't have, you know, I've seen there's a lot worse scenarios out there in the world. And we do have good, I mean, we're not showing, like, this doesn't keep, you know, the ARPA money's sitting there. You know, we've got good cash balances in other places, but long term, at some point, we need to, the reason we have balances is because historically we've spent less than we brought in, and that helped those balances build up. But we're kind of going in a different direction.
And we've got bridges to fix. You know, I know there's, in the budget here, we got new vehicles. We don't need a few new vehicles. I mean, it's good to have a program that we're replacing them. But I think, you know, vehicles we can cut. You know, maybe next year we can pick that back up again. But I mean, it's a little bit here, a little bit there. You know, that's what we've got to do, and we don't
need new vehicles. I mean, I know there's a offset to that. We're gonna have to probably spend a little more money on repairs, but maybe we can manage those a little bit, but I suggest we go back in and cut those vehicles so that way we have money for bridges and culverts that we don't have money for now that we know that
We've had several.
we're gonna have to have it sooner or later.
Am I saying they're out of it, correct?
What's that?
That one that I emailed you,
Which one?
they're cut, they're out of that. The one that I emailed you,
They're out of.
the vehicles are gone out of that one.
Oh,
The-
yeah,
the highway
because we,
truck.
the highway truck, we did take.
The highway truck is out, okay.
Mhm.
Cause that's $200,000 or whatever. Pardon?
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh, you're fine.
What vehicles are you talking about cutting?
Well, the highway truck,
They're-
they get a new one every year to replace those, so we could take $200,000.
Several years ago, like, they would never budget the highway trucks, and so they would ask for an additional appropriation of $300,000 every, like, so many years. So we tried to put $100,000 in each year, so that way it was gradually, well, the last year we didn't have it in because they inadvertently ordered two, was that 2020 maybe?
Mhm.
I think 2020 they ordered 2 trucks, so in 21 we technically got 2 trucks. So they didn't get a truck for 22 because they had gotten 2. They ordered, well, I think one in the beginning of 2020 and then one in the middle of 2020.
Well, I know we sold one to the county, I think it was a 20 or it might have been 19. I didn't know if you were talking about police vehicles or what vehicles you were talking about.
There's also 3 police vehicles that are allotted in there each to rotate those. And then I think EOC was asking for a truck and Economic Development was asking for a car lease.
Got a lot of vehicle
Yeah.
requests.
Well, I'm telling you, just from
And I
my
know-
experience, you know, police cars you don't wanna cut. Because those things, it's not that they get so many miles, it's the idle time that kills them. And, I mean, you cut them and then they break down on the way to a call, then you guys are gonna be on the chopping block. I know, that's why I asked the question.
It's okay, I'm glad you
I
asked.
gotcha.
Thank you for answering that.
Yeah.
but-
There was 2 pickups in there too, wasn't there?
Yeah, a couple pickups in the highway.
Oh, in the highway,
Mhm.
yeah.
Did they, say they had some dump trucks that were non-functional at the present time in highway garage?
International.
They were
Internationals, yeah, it's like more than one truck, 2, 3?
We have 3 right now.
That,
Problems.
you know, engine one, transmission another, or something like that.
Yep. And we spend a lot of money on maintaining them because they keep breaking down. But there was an issue with them, we should have never bought them, but we ordered 2 last year.
So ordered 2, yeah. Oh, those are 2 of the new ones that are having trouble? Huh. Maybe we need to trade that.
I'm not sure the county attorney will need to talk
The
to
bad
that.
thing with internationals and Freightliners, when something breaks on them, you're not talking a couple $1,000s.
No.
That's high dollar repairs.
Stay away from it.
And that's disappointing when you got 2 new ones.
Let me explain a little bit what I just handed you. Actually had me go back and cut, so I did. On the top line, you'll see where it says 2023 requested budget. That's what everyone turned in and actually requested. This is just the general fund, the 10,414,000. Then where it says published, ignore published, it's just another area in my program that I can use. So I put where we went back, what you guys discussed through your commissioner, or excuse me, council meetings, where we cut things there, and I got them all in there, and it's down to the 9.9. And then the entire budget is the same thing, only at the bottom.
So in the general fund, what was requested was 20%, and we've cut it down to 14.78.
So this
And
incorporates,
I had some more that I couldn't do it without you guys
Right.
doing it and then showing it to you, and then you guys approving it. But there's some other areas that I found that we can nickel and dime.
So the entire budget, 22 million, is 25% increase for 23, but what we ask you to do,
Yep.
you cut it to 16?
Yep.
It's still huge.
so this incorporates all the pencil changes that we've made during 2 days. And the good thing about that, the department heads, I think, were all here represented. A lot of those were concurred with, so they weren't just hack and slash, they were, but yeah, it needs to be, probably needs to be tightened. Hey, we were talking about tax levy, just, I'll mention here, county tax rate, we dropped it the last couple of years. And if we've got a projection here, if we drop it again, there's a projection if we increase it. How about just, what if we left it level at the tax rate and that falls somewhere in between?
It would be sad, it'd be somewhere in between. That's exactly, I don't know, I mean.
Yeah, that's a broad statement, but it wouldn't increase, nor would it decrease.
The hard part, I probably have a real hard time dialing it in exactly, because it depends a little bit on that final assessed value. And some of the cum funds are hard to project, but, I mean, we could do, like I said, you have 178,617 options here. You can go all the way up to 9,178,000, or you can go somewhere in between. So if we just did, if I shot for 99.68, it'd be somewhere in between, you know, you'd be 9.1 million or something above a levy.
Maybe about 2/3 of the way up between the two.
I mean, you know, I probably couldn't.
It'd be like, yeah, 90 million,
It'd be hard to get
90,000 increase.
exactly the same, that it'd be a very minor variation.
I mean, if we're concerned about the taxpayer saying, hey, my taxes went up, the rate increased, the rate decreased, where is that?
You know, everyone's tax bill is composed of multiple things. It's your assessed value, which can change every year.
You got your municipal.
You got your county rate, school rate, library rate. If you live in a city town, you got a city town rate. So if your county rate goes down fractionally, but the town rate goes up, your bill may still increase.
This is the one we control.
So this is the only one you guys can control, and so and some people, you know, it won't make any difference whatsoever, because if they're at the tax cap anyway, they're going to pay 1% of their assessed value and no more. If they have homestead, if it's commercial, it's 2%. So, you know.
The scary part, I guess, is even the big number isn't going to cover everything.
Still,
so we got.
So this levy is a big chunk of obviously the general fund's revenue. 91% of the county property taxes goes into county general fund. The county general fund also gets taxes from commercial vehicle excise, ABC gallon, it's commercial vehicle excise, FIT, which is Financial Institute tax. There's some other taxes that are collected at the state level and distributed back down to the counties. And 91% of the money we get from those taxes goes into county general as well. So, but the general fund is going to, I mean, it shows we're going to get, when you take into account the tax cap, we're going to get about $8.8 million of revenue next year in county general fund. So.
But our budget's
But your
$9
budget
million.
is 9.8 million. So, now, again, you've got a balance, and we won't spend, we will not spend 9.8 million.
And like
There
when we
will be-
get reimbursed, like public defenders, when we get that,
Calculated.
it's in there, that the reimbursement's calculated?
That's it. I increased it because I know it'll go up because we're spending more. And I'm probably underestimating some revenues. It's hard to estimate the revenues that are going to be brought in from the recorder's office. But frankly, in the big scheme of things, they're small. You know, the auditor collects money from this, that, and the other. The recorder collects a little bit of money. The sheriff collects a little bit of money. We do get some revenues from other things.
But as you said, that's small.
It's not much. It doesn't make much. You know, we I don't have an answer. What we probably ought to do, next year, the next couple of years, when we go to give budgets to the county department heads and things, we maybe need to tell them,
Exactly.
grow it by 3%, find a way to do that.
Right.
And
then we try and grow the revenue by 5%, and eventually we bend that curve back the other way.
Well, I'll just tell you this, the last 10 years of the company I worked for, my budget was flat for about 10 years, and I had to be creative. And, I mean, we're looking at 15% if we cut it.
It's hard because they won't spend all that.
I know, but you gotta have a realistic budget. I mean, when somebody hands me a request for 17% wage increase, as I told Brenda, I'd hand it back to him and tell him, you know, yeah. But I agree with you, Scott. We're gonna have to have some parameters for next
And I
year.
didn't, the other difficulty you face, I didn't finish this, I was starting to do an analysis of how much of your money is for personal services. And in the general fund, it's gonna run about 75%, I think. So, it may be 80, it may be 70, but it's somewhere around 75. So, the real biggest,
You said personnel.
yeah, personal, that's not just salaries, that's benefits as well.
Yeah.
So, when you start to look at, you know, you either have to.
Same way with me. I had a
know,
budget
it's
for
tough.
it.
Every business is that way, your biggest cost.
Just as a question, is there any way, just, can you pull it out of your hat, what was left last year, out of the budget?
The sad thing about it is
I mean, I know it changes.
this
get a
year
report.
we've done a lot in additionals because though everything has skyrocketed
Yeah.
in price. Everything we
But is that gonna
purchased.
change?
Everything's
It's gotta change, yeah.
Sure.
I mean,
Well, this-
we
that
got,
would
we're
be
wanting to
a-
do a lot of GIS, that's great, but that's kinda
And-
frivolous right
the
now.
auditor
No, I mean, it's
will.
not frivolous, but,
Compared
We
to a
would be
bridge.
helpful, they
Yeah,
can run a
compared to a
report
bridge.
monthly, it would be helpful if we ran a report every month that showed, I don't know that everybody needs to see every line item, that gave you can see general fund total amount budgeted was, you know, for the year was 9.1 million, we're 50% through the year and we've spent 4.8 million, so we're running hot.
Yeah.
Or we're running, you know, we've got 50% left and we're 50% through the year, so that's not good. You really wanna be like 45%, 50% of the way through.
I've also talked with Brenda about looking at maybe like a 5-year average of like expenses and accounts. Now, 2020 and 2021 that probably skewed some things, you know, like especially like travel and conference, we hear that one a lot because they were not in person, they are now. But that's something we've talked about, trying to figure out how to do a spreadsheet of some sort so you can look and see what the average kind of expense was. That way we can kind of say, okay, you have office supplies of $1,000, but you're only spending 200 of it every year. You know, like something that we can kind of start looking at long term and figure out, you know. I mean,
Yeah, that'd be good to have. an
Well,
average.
where we are now with inflation, I think that curve's gonna get bent, so that 5-year average may not apply very well.
Well, I mean, it's,
I'd like to have a 5-year plan.
yeah, we.
Yeah.
We
we've
need
talked
that.
about
We need
because
that,
what
yeah.
happens is, we come in with all these things that, we need to do this, and it's like, well.
We need a
Blindsided.
5-year
Where's the money
plan.
gonna come from?
Blindsided with it.
To do it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Rick, you'd asked about departments having some guidance on percentage that they should work with, and what we got was everything aggregated into a big number, and then we had to go back through and hack. So everybody put in their wish list, but if they had some realistic expectations of how much they could actually
Be a whole
get
lot
in there,
easier for us.
Oh, yeah, we wouldn't be dealing with, you know, how do we get cut $2 million?
Right.
Or 2.5.
Well, my personal opinion is, on the general fund, we need to get it 10% on the proposed. Now, again, I don't have numbers I'm working with, I'm just ballparking it, and that may be not the right number, but.
The hard part, Rick, is.
Yeah.
I understand what you're saying entirely, 100%, but then implementing a 10%.
Yeah,
cut
how do you do it?
Between now and next Wednesday.
Yeah.
And trying to, I mean, if you just go ahead and reduce everything by 10%,
Well,
that's gonna leave some.
yeah.
It's
And then
unrealistic.
you're gonna be doing all kinds of other stuff later.
Yeah, because then all of a sudden, we don't have enough money to pay
March will have
Tim or
additionals.
Sally because we cut the amount that was appropriated for their salary. So you're gonna have to cut it out of someplace.
We made a recommendation, I guess, on salary that we kind of voted on, or we didn't vote, we proposed for budgeting projection type purposes. I think those are reasonable numbers, and if we go less than what we proposed there, I think we probably could run into some retention problems. I mean, it's gonna create some hardships. And that's a really small number to compare what was the commissioners put forward.
In order for us to have a work session, do we have to advertise that?
Yeah.
48? I guess, but the newspaper doesn't come out, does it?
So it doesn't have
Yeah,
to,
it
I
doesn't
just
be
have to
published,
let
it
them
just has
know,
to be-
whether it's actually
Yeah.
published or not is not a requirement.
Only public hearings.
Yes.
I guess the hard part for us here is there was only the one dump truck we already cut in, so we're looking for big stuff.
Yeah, 'cause that was
There's not, I mean, there's just, yeah, there's not, it's a lot.
We added a lot of employees too.
That's.
I know.
We added those jailers and 911.
The 911 comes out of the 911.
It
fund.
does, 911.
Yeah.
That is
part of
correct.
it. Now, 911,
But
So-
put it in the negative too.
that's because I didn't have investments on it. It's spending more than it's bringing in.
'Cause we have-
Where's the 911 money come from? Is that like
You
Homeland
pay your cell
Security or
phone bill,
something?
your home phone bill.
Okay, so it's, there's assessment fee or something, okay.
That report's running and it'll take a while.
Oh, is that gonna
Oh,
raise
you
my-
didn't have to print it.
Is that gonna raise my phone
Oh,
bill? or
wow.
is-
No, I'm not
Cell
printing
phones
it.
do
Oh, that's good.
It's running
Okay.
it.
Oh, I see.
I dropped my home phone.
But that's also at a, 911 has a very healthy balance because we haven't
What
spent
was
it,
left
and at
of
any
that
point in
last
time, they
year?
can come back and take it. So that's why we moved all of the dispatchers to their budget, because I believe if we show we are spending it, then, you know, we're better off in the long run.
Yeah, big balances are targets for somebody to take a look at, look at, or.
Sure will.
And it's a-
And realistically, your dispatchers are 911, so.
That's right.
I mean, it's in the appropriate fund.
So we're here tonight to make cuts or just cuss
Well,
and discuss?
I wanted your direction on the tax rate, what you wanted to do on the tax rate. We need that to be finalized by the 12th. But you also realistically have until the 12th to finalize next year's
Budget.
budgets. You can cut budgets after the year starts. You can do reductions of appropriations the same way you can do additional appropriations. There's nothing, we don't have done that. It's advertising, but,
We will
Don't do that.
We will have an audience.
Cool.
but you can do that.
No, Scott.
From a
Sounds
numbers
like a
point
nightmare.
of view, on these tax rates, you have to go out to the third or fourth decimal point to actually see where the change is. Now, when you apply it to real numbers, then it becomes significant.
Mm-hmm.
It does. But you're right. I mean, it's basically been on a very.
We're in a range, we're in a tight range.
Yeah, we're going down, but not by a lot.
Since we're not necessarily approving the budget, like if we do have a work session later in the week, like, do we have to have a minimum number of people able to attend?
And you have to give me 2 days.
Yeah.
Yeah, did we pass, I can't remember, did we pass the thing that lets people, we didn't pass the thing that lets people participate remotely.
Mhm.
So you do need to have at least a quorum.
Okay.
Work session?
Well, for work, I mean, honestly, if only two of
Because,
you
I
come to
mean,
the work session, I mean,
I was
that's all
thinking
we
like
have.
if whoever
Can't
could
make any decisions.
make it, like while they're here so they can run numbers for us, run account balances and things, and then we can make changes and send it out to everybody to review it, and then we can decide to agree.
Your vote would be on the 12th.
Yeah.
Your vote would be on the 12th.
Right.
But I just think like it's gonna take some time to look up some balances to find out, like,
Sure.
numbers. And I hate to do it in the evening, if we could do it during the day
Well,
when
I-
they
I'm
have
gonna say I
access to
could
it.
come in during the day.
So, and I know everybody
I'm
can't
good with
necessarily, but.
you guys doing that.
I can come
The
in
ones
on
that
the
can.
10th, closed, but I'll be.
But then, like, she can, like, once they change the number, it gives us a new number that we can then send out so everybody can review
Sure.
it before it's
Yeah.
actually adopted.
Well, we need to work on it.
I know.
I'm available, and are we beyond the point of having department people come in, defend, or justify anything?
Well, if we do it during the day, if we have questions, we can call and ask them.
Okay.
You know,
Alright.
like, that's the benefit of doing it during the day, is that we can say,
Right.
okay, is this, something that we can look at,
I hate to arbitrarily say, here's what we gave you,
Well, and we.
unilaterally.
I mean,
May have to.
and we, like, it was kind of like the salaries, you have to, we did that last because some of these get the final number at the end, we don't have like a running total, unfortunately, it's not like it's a live total of where it adjusts, whereas, so 48 hours, so probably either Thursday or Friday, Is there a better day for your office?
None.
No, I don't think, let's see. Do we tell them?
There is a courthouse security meeting Friday morning at 8:30. I don't know how long that will last.
Where's
I
that
couldn't
at?
be here Friday. I have a
But-
doctor appointment and I have cancer, as you know.
But either one of those days is fine, other than that meeting.
No matter to me.
Let's do Thursday. That way, if that gives them Friday to maybe hopefully update.
Six.
the first week.
Okay.
Is that okay?
I
Thursday,
think
what-
we're-
That's okay.
What
You're
time?
good.
Tom?
What time?
9, 10, like 9.
9 o'clock? That way we have all day.
Yeah. We're probably gonna need a lot.
I'm sorry.
I'm bringing donuts.
Did you say Friday at 9?
Thursday at 9.
Thursday at 9.
Thursday at 9.
Not to take money out of your budget, but I'll buy pizza.
Just counted for the tax bill.
There we go. Hear that, Tanya?
She told me you was teasing me about donuts.
Oh.
Is there any consensus on what you want to do for rate? So I
He
can-
wants an answer.
Well,
Yeah.
Most of us,
Expense is one part.
are we saying we will be at least flat, right?
I would say flat.
I mean, me,
Yeah.
and I thought I heard that a little bit, Rick.
I don't think we can lower it.
I mean, our wish list, I'll just come back to personnel, is that we have what we budgeted. But in reality, we know it's a need, but there may be something that we still can't do all of it. I mean, we gotta look at this seriously.
Were you saying like keeping it about where it's at now, if possible?
On the salaries?
No, on the,
On the
rate.
Tax rate.
Oh, tax rate?
It's gonna,
Is that what you said earlier?
If we leave it where it is, leave the level.
That's one.
That gives us a number in between to work with.
Yeah,
and
There's
it-
$130,000 spread between the two
It's-
options I
yeah.
gave you, so you're gonna end up,
I guess it's a do no harm number,
yeah.
and we can work with that.
well,
I think
in
that's-
assessed value, we're pulling more money, more than likely. I mean, we will, unless you get the breaker.
Hit the caps.
Well, we got
Yeah.
that 15 million.
I mean,
Also, keep
not
that
taking
9.9
the full-
adjustment there.
Correct me if I'm wrong, not taking a full maximum amount will hurt us. Could hurt us
It
down the road.
reduces the revenue, we've been under the max the last couple of years.
Yeah.
And that has reduced our, what we bring in. Now, again, that's, I mean, we have good operating balances, so. that
If
would
we didn't have good
facilitate-
operating balance, we'd be in trouble.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to do it, but, and part of it is to tell the tax, I mean, if you look at those historical numbers, the county was just increasing 5% a year, while they said, we don't want to increase people's taxes, yet they vote every year to increase people's taxes. Because there's this disconnect between, we have a disconnect sometimes between what we want to spend, but you gotta remember, what you want to spend is coming from all of us in this room. So when we want to spend more, we're increasing our spending. But I can make, I mean, I can get it pretty much level. I can vary, basically, the levy would stay the same, and so it'd be, we may be off, we may be a 1/10% higher or 10% lower,
Yeah.
but it'd be flat. That's.
I will say too, I'm not running for re-election, so that's not my motivation. It just seemed like an appropriate way to go, a possible third
Ultimately,
option.
even if you did the max, it's not that big of a difference. It
Point
doesn't
zero
make
zero-
up the-
point
it
zero
does not
zero
make
two
up
zero.
the-
It's-
And, again, it's one thing if, hey, there's this one thing, we gotta do it one time, we won't do it again for 15 years, we gotta replace this. It's hard. You guys have a.
Hopefully
tough
next
job.
year will be
This
a
is
better
a bad year to do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I know.
Uh, Are we done with salaries? Because I'd like to throw something out there. I'm comfortable, I mentioned that earlier, with the salary proposals that we came up with at the end of the last meeting. And running the numbers, it's plus or minus 3% for most people on the salary increase we proposed. Looking at inflation, it's going to be less than inflation.
Oh.
Quite a bit less.
Yeah.
And I'm comfortable with that if we can justify it financially, but I'm comfortable with that number. I think we need it.
And those were the numbers Brenda updated for us.
Okay, so those are all rolled in?
Yeah, and
Okay.
highlighted changes.
There might be a couple questions.
The recommendation that Kim does for 7% across the board, that's not doable.
It's
No,
more
it's
unrealistic with the budget.
I'm talking about one department?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that one, that's like a dump truck.
I tried to. Wasn't me.
Okay. Well, we'll have a work session then Thursday, October 6th at 9 a.m. for anyone who can make it. And then we can update numbers and send them to everyone for approval.
I will update the
Good plan.
levy and rate stuff too. I don't have, just all adjust those, so got that ready.
In the meantime, everybody will kind of take a gander at what we've written out so far. Kind of look through it, see if something catches your eye somewhere.
If you see something, just email me. I've been going through some of them, but I only do one at a time.
A lot of lines.
And Ashley told me to take the weekend off, so I did.
Don't come in on the weekend. It's not going to be solved in. No. All right, anybody have anything else? Any public comment?
Yep, going first. Okay, so did you guys approve the HSA again? The $1,000?
Don't the commissioners approve the HSA?
Did they approve that? Okay, so if they approve that, is there any way that we could change that to where it's either, you get half of it at the beginning of the year and half of it in the middle of the year? I get $250 every quarter. I went to the doctor in February and had an EKG done and something else, blah, blah. My bill was almost $2,000. So $250 of it was paid out of that. Well, I don't get it again until 3 months later. It's just, I didn't know if there was any way we could change that. Because if not, I'm gonna go back to the PPO because this is nickel and diming me to death.
I don't think that's ours. I don't think we.
So you guys don't make that
implemented it.
decision? Okay.
We just.
RJ thought the council did.
No, I believe we just did the funding on it.
Okay.
Yeah. Is it in the?
January.
No, I wanna get it either at the beginning of the year or at the beginning of the year and every 6 months. I don't wanna get it quarterly. $250 is not enough money to pay a
I think
hospital
they had
bill.
done it originally quarterly because of like people like.
I've been here 10 years.
I know. And I don't know if they can come up with like after, I don't know.
So.
Is it in the handbook? Did they end up putting that in the handbook? Okay.
But anyway, something to think about,
Yeah.
they bring it to you.
I don't believe we were the ones with the
Okay,
decision on that.
RJ thought you guys had it, so that's why.
He was on the council when it happened.
Well, and that's why I think he thought
So-
he made that decision. Okay, so, okay, thank you.
We just come up with funding.
Yeah.
Who said what?
Who made the decision to do it quarterly?
Commissioners,
Mhm.
We did.
I'm sorry?
I guess it was the commission.
It'd have been back in what,
19,
was it 19 was the first year?
I believe.
That was
18 or 19.
It's not in the
Wow.
salary, ordinance done every year.
No.
That's where, if you get it, that's where it'd be.
Yeah, it's not
I
listed on
just
the
wanted to
salary.
make sure.
It may just be in the handbook.
So that's why I wonder if it got updated in the handbook.
But you're taking it under advisement. That'll be something looked into. Okay. Okay. Hi, I'm Tanya, for those of you that I haven't met personally yet. I am a employee of Vermilion County, and I work in the auditor's office. I'm the property deputy there, and I have been for 15 years. I had my anniversary on September 10th of this year, and not you all, but previous council members, and some of you might be included, did an amendment to our salary ordinance in 2021 because we had paid so much money to have a salary study done and things like that when it came to time for us to get raises. This is something that I think was agreed on to kind of pacify what was spent in the salary, or, you know, whoever the company was that we looked up to do this. Anyway, the council at that time decided to amend the salary and give us a longevity pay, which was very well received amongst the employees. I'm speaking for myself, but I do have other employees that are interested in my discussion with you this evening. So after this, if you can take this under advisement and then maybe let us all know publicly, I'd appreciate it. So what happened with this amendment, and I have copies for you all to show you what it is that there's nothing stating in this longevity pay about when you're supposed to receive your anniversary increase. Where the ordinance or resolution, I guess is what it was with you all, said you have to have at least 5 years of service to get a 1.5%. At least 10 years of service equals an additional 2%. At least 15 years of service equals an additional 2.5%. And at least 20 equals an additional 3%. And then it breaks it down if you go over 20. My question is that when I went to ask about my anniversary date, because it's been 5 years since I received my 10-year anniversary increase, which I received on the date of my anniversary, I was told that that's no longer in effect, that you receive your anniversary increase January 1st of the following year after your anniversary date. I asked where and when this decision had been made, because it obviously has changed from my 10-year anniversary to my 15-year anniversary. And I was told that's the way it is. Well, and everything in, as far as resolutions, as far as ordinances, anything that I could look up regarding this, there's nothing other than the resolution. And as most of us, which I'll speak for myself, understand this says, and it's read as at least 5 years, at least 10, at least 15. So that kind of leaves it open to when and where and how we're supposed to get our anniversary increase. So I would just like you to look at it.
Is
and
that wording in the handbook or wording?
it was a resolution. And everything that is stipulated in it is the same that's in the salary ordinance.
The original resolution said it's based on as of January 1.
Well, now this resolution
But
stated,
In February.
this resolution said as of January 1st, 2021, this is how it's going to be interpreted. It doesn't say as of.
Longevity started before the salary study, because we had to submit a copy of it to
Oh, yeah, it does say based on
the company that actually did the salary study. The salary study, or the longevity began in,
21.
well, it started before that. We had adopted it before that.
Well, mine's on February 3rd, and
You're right.
that's a big deal.
'Cause
Well, not only
we
hers.
we started the longevity, and then
Yeah,
the company,
that's what
we
I
had to
was
send a
thinking
copy
right
of it,
here.
and we didn't
Yeah, that's where you
change
saw the
anything
January
based on the
1st.
As of
resolutions.
January
Yeah,
20.
that's when
That was like
they
the one thing we
retroactive.
didn't actually change, when all that came through.
That's what I was thinking.
Yes.
But you're just asking for clarification of when it should be paid, whether it's at your higher date, like to be like June, July, or at the next beginning of the next year.
No, because mine starts February.
Well, and that's something, she's February. I know people that were 5 years in March, and now they were told they have to wait till January 1st.
Was that in 2020?
That's what I thought it was.
Is that
We
a
started
resolution?
in
It was,
It was started before I was here, and all that.
I think-
So it had to be.
Well,
20.
we adopted it before the salary study, I know that. Because we'd have been paying on it before we ever did the salary study.
And they just gave us recommendations.
Yeah.
Of what it.
They just kind of gave us, and we actually just kept what we had,
If you would like to.
because that was kind of the one option, I mean.
When we adopted it in 2021, it says your anniversary date, or it says your date based on
You passed
your
your date.
service as of January 1, 2021. When the salary ordinance for 2022 was adopted, they went ahead and put the longevity pay in the salary ordinance instead of as a separate document. But the part about when it accrues was not done for 2022. So you have it doesn't say it's on your anniversary date, it doesn't say it's on January 1st, it doesn't say. So we have a gap.
Yeah, well, there's a gap and there's a gray area, and I would like it to be more formally inductive, so that
this
the
be
rest
put
of
on-
us will know exactly what to
Yeah.
expect.
Can't do it
And
the
when
12th,
to
that's not enough
expect.
time, is it?
No, we could, because it's not approving an additional.
No, but
No,
I
you
mean,
can have it on there.
And we could put a date on there that we would like for it to happen?
Mhm.
I mean, it's like your
You
anniversary.
can make that decision on the 12th.
Okay.
I talked to Leanne, and next year salary ordinance resolution, we're gonna make sure we have whatever you decide as, it'll accrue on anniversary date or
Okay.
accrue on January 1st, whatever.
Perfect.
But
Well, I'd do it tonight.
Well, my-
So you
guys-
Tonight though, right? Can we get
Or
some?
My problem or question is too, though, if we were to have to pay back something to our pay because of a mistake or something, they'd want it now.
Sure.
If you're making somebody wait and they were hired on January 3rd and have to wait a whole nother year, where's their interest in this?
That's right.
And where is that money at? How is it budgeted to make sure that there's enough? And how many people are going to reach their anniversary dates in a year? So that might be something to consider too, because again, how's that budgeted?
Which, I mean, it's always hard because you don't know if someone's going to retire or leave, or, I mean, it's kind of like the health insurance, you never know quite how many employees are going to take it for the year. I mean, it's one of those, we're not going to be able to budget it exactly, but,
Just budget lump sum.
we get a
We could check
roundabout
the years.
idea, and that's what we have in the budget, but, we'll just have to figure out, you know,
So what I'm hearing from you, Tanya, then, is you'd like to have it on your anniversary date?
Yes, even though my pay is 2 pays behind, because that's how we roll, I figured it wouldn't be getting it to the middle of October anyway, 1st of November. But some of these folks that have reached their anniversary dates in February, March, August, July, we're all gonna wait till January 1st of 2023. And like I said, when I reached my 10-year anniversary, the next pay, I had it, so I didn't know where the change had been made. So that was another question I would like. So I just wanted to give this to you and ask these questions and see what can be done about it. And like I said, that way make it a little more transparent for all employees, because
Okay.
everybody's kind of questioning this now too, since it hasn't happened to them either.
okay.
Okay?
Is this what's in place now? Because this is a 2021 salary schedule. Or 2022. Is there a 2022?
I know it started in 2020 because I can remember Amy told me.
Well, this says 2021. It is
Right.
specific to the
We don't have
2021.
another one.
There's not another one. This is the
Last,
only one I
last,
can find up
first
to
and
this
last,
point.
or last.
First and only.
Well,
Yeah,
it's
it
on-
is.
It's on the
Got
salary.
two. There's
It's on-
2020 and a 2021, there's no 2022.
It's
It's
part
on
of
the-
the,
it's on-
it's
on
built,
the-
it's in the
In the
end of the.
handbook?
No, it's in
on
the salary
It's on
ordinance.
the,
Well, yeah, this is
Salary.
already, this is, unless,
it's not
But it does say-
until they adopt the budget, then they'll change the handbook.
Yeah, 'cause
But
I don't
it-
have an ordinance in
Does it
Yeah,
say
there.
we
anything in
don't-
the
we don't
handbook
have
about
anything.
anniversary,
I-
About when the longevity pay?
I'm sorry?
Does it say anything in the handbook about longevity pay?
Not that I recall.
Hmm.
And we've had a new handbook committee for a while too, so they might want to be advised to this once
One
you
of the
guys
issues
decide.
the other issue you run into with longevity pay, just from experience, is somebody's with the county for 4 years, 5 years, whatever, they leave, they take a job somewhere else, then they come back, and then they say, well, do I have 6 years, or do I have 1 year? And so I think we may have addressed that.
Well,
in
no,
the
that's
handbook.
not true, because hiring wise, they have to start with what salary is being offered at that office, correct?
That's something.
Is
I
that
think
another
we-
gray area?
No, I think they have.
See,
30
it's at the
days
bottom
to
of the
keep their
ordinance, the salary, like.
Right.
Dang.
I think
There's
we may
something
put
about it,
something like that
there's
in the
something in the
handbook.
Right,
handbook
but I've
about
not found a new
lapses.
resolution
They
for
did,
it.
this is it.
Mhm.
This is all included. in
So it's
this.
on the salary
Yes.
ordinance that you guys are gonna be approving.
Yeah.
And it's listed the exact same way that it
Yes.
is on the paper of the resolution I gave you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
So I
somebody
just
there was
appreciate-
all in one spot later, like after, like
Yeah,
this
we
last
just-
year.
yeah,
It's all,
this is
it's
last-
all
for
one
2022.
document.
it's on there, it's just at the bottom.
I appreciate you looking into it, and like I said, making it a little public to everybody, so we're all clear and on the same page. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Here, Connie, this is your phone.
You don't need it then.
No, I wrote it.
I know you did, but it might be in a 21 file.
I knew there was something on there I was looking for.
I think they just did an amended, they didn't put it in the handbook, it's just an amendment that they did. 2021.
Yeah,
Yes, the amendment.
that's what she had.
Mhm.
But we did in 2022, I remember.
Yeah, it sounds like they did it for budgeting
And that's
convenience.
And it doesn't say what it's.
It doesn't have a date.
So it's 22 years or so
It's
comes
the
out
gray
another
area.
one, appropriated.
Or there,
Mhm.
whatever.
That, yeah, that made it greater.
Yes.
Are there any other items for this evening? No? Any other comments? All right, being none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion, do I have a second?
Second.
All right, meeting's adjourned. Thank you.